What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel. Today on the Hard Count, we're going to talk about what's going on at Nebraska with Scott Frost after their loss to Illinois. First things first, welcome to 365 Sports. You're here. Welcome to the party. This is the front step. Come on, walk on inside, subscribe to the channel. A lot of great people here. We want you to be a part of our community. We want to have you in on this as we jump into what is now college football season. That felt so good to say. It is college football season. Illinois and Nebraska obviously got things teed up this past Saturday with one of the most notable matchups of the entire weekend, with obviously the full launch coming this coming Saturday, September 4th. Golly, where do we start with this game? Illinois won 30-22, and it wasn't even that close. Like, the score was 30-22, but the duration of the game, Illinois was up by like 2 scores. Just absolutely took them to the woodshed for the majority of the game. Nebraska looked out of sorts all game long. The first points of the college football season was a safety. Nebraska's punt returner fielded the ball on the 1-yard line, backed up into his own end zone, tried to throw the ball out of the end zone. Like, it was just an ugly, ugly start to the season for Nebraska. And there's a lot of things to look at for this game. I think the biggest of which is what is going on in Nebraska, what's going on with Scott Frost. Not to take anything away from Illinois, because Brett Bielema, obviously in his first year there, looks like he's got that thing going the right direction. They ran the football really well. I like Mike Epstein a lot for Illinois. He's a young back that's going to do some good things for them. But let's talk about Nebraska. And I understand if you're a Nebraska fan, you're saying, who is this guy? You probably don't watch Nebraska that frequently. Who are you to be a subject matter on Nebraska? Who are you to be a subject expert matter on Nebraska, I should say? And you're right. You are totally right. I'm going to go ahead and approach this very cautiously, very delicately. I am pro Scott Frost. I'll start there. I have been a pro Scott Frost guy since he was at Oregon. Love what he did at UCF. In fact, when they beat Auburn in that New Year's Six bowl game, one of the first things that my dad and I talked about, because we text back and forth on college football game days, he said, if I'm buying stock in any team, if college football is like the stock market and I'm buying stock in any team, it's Nebraska because of what Scott Frost is going to bring to that program. And obviously, fast forward the tape a few years later, he's 12-21 as the head coach there. Things have just not gone at all the way that they expected it to once they brought him on. He was the quarterback at Nebraska when they won the Natty. He was the man. He's the Nebraska son coming home to bring them back to dominance, and that just hasn't been the case. So let's talk about this game just a little bit. Nebraska as a whole just looked really poorly coached. Special teams wasn't looking good. Again, the safety, they missed extra points. They shot themselves in the foot multiple times with penalties, with turnovers. The play that they did score on, one of their big scoring plays, I should say, was a quarterback scramble when Adrian Martinez took it 75 yards to the house, which isn't really even how you draw it up. So that kind of feels like a bit of a cheap way to score. And it's not taking anything away from Nebraska and Adrian Martinez, but bottom line, the things that you can control as a coach, the things that you should harp on, the things that well-coached teams do, Nebraska didn't have. And the fact that Illinois beat them with a second-string quarterback and a first-year head coach, it's not a good look for Nebraska. It's not a good look for Scott Frost, especially coming on the heels of the NCAA investigation with all of this COVID madness they're having to deal with and just all the allegations and storylines that are still developing there. Makes you think Scott Frost is probably losing or has already lost the benefit of the doubt. And so I'm not a guy that will ever call for someone's job. I'll never say, hey, he should be fired or get him out of there, because honestly, this is probably the most stressful job in the world. You're a college football head coach. Your money, your food on the table depends on 18 and 22-year-olds doing what they're supposed to do. And so I love Scott Frost. I believe that he's still a good coach. I think he's going to have a great career past Nebraska, but it's hard to argue with the facts here. Again, 12-21, one all-conference player since he's been there, and that one all-conference player was the kicker. And even in the post-game presser, Scott Frost just sounded a little bit at a loss. He's like, hey, we did all we could. I thought, we were in a good place. I think these kids are better than they played. But if the kids are better than they played, then you look to the coach. You say, well, why aren't those kids that you say are better than they played, why aren't they flourishing on the football field? Why aren't they getting done what you say they're capable of getting done? Because you can only recruit so well. You can only have enough potential on your roster until you start to point the finger somewhere else. And no one's asking Nebraska to be Ohio State. No one's saying they should be in the college football playoff conversation. No one's even saying they should win the Big Ten. But bottom line, you should beat Illinois. A first-year head coach, again, a second-string quarterback. Brandon Peters went out after the first quarter, essentially, so they played 3 quarters with the Rutgers transfer. You should beat Illinois if you're Nebraska. You expect to beat Illinois if you're Nebraska based on all the hype that you had coming into this year with Scott Frost and the way he's going to turn things around. Adrian Martinez. I'm going palms up here. I'm going palms up high school right here. All right, that means I don't know what's going on. I don't have answers for you, Nebraska. I don't have answers for you, Scott Frost. So let's look at the rest of their schedule. You got obviously the loss to Illinois, so you're 0-1. Probably win the next two. You got Fordham, you got Buffalo, both at home, so you're 2-1. Probably lose at Oklahoma. You're 2-2. Michigan State, let's be kind and say they win that one. Let's say they're 3-2 at this point. Then they go back home with Northwestern. Let's say they lose that one, 3-3. Don't think they beat Michigan, 3-4. Probably don't beat Minnesota either at Minnesota. So at that point, you're 3-5. Think you can beat Purdue. I think Purdue's a winnable game. If you don't agree with me, I think that maybe you can split Michigan and Purdue. So let's call them 4-5 at this point. Probably lose to Ohio State. You're 4-6. Probably lose to Wisconsin. Probably lose to Iowa. 4-8 doesn't keep coaches around, guys. I don't care how much you've done for a university. If you're 4-8, that would make Scott Frost, let's do some quick math here. That would make him 16-29 as a head coach for Nebraska. Patience is already wearing thin because of the COVID allegations and what they did during COVID. It's not a good look. The seat is very, very warm, borderline sizzling if you're Scott Frost right now. And so I am, again, a big Scott Frost fan, but I have a hard time believing he's going to be here past this season if Illinois is, or if the game against Illinois is any indication about the way this game is, or the way the season is going to play out the rest of the way. So there's no reason why they can't turn it around. I'm not saying that's not going to be the case. They could surprise a lot of people. This could be the fork in the road for them where they turn it around and they get things going. I would love to see that. But bottom line, Nebraska gave that game away, y'all. Nebraska beat themselves in a lot of ways and didn't even give themselves really the fighting chance that roster probably deserved. So I'm a Scott Frost guy. I'll say it probably for the third or fourth time on this video. I've said that. But I would be very surprised if Nebraska isn't looking for a new head coach by the end of the year. So sort of a dark and gloomy way to do the hard count for our first one of the new college football season. But go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like the video. We're going to keep this party rolling. A lot more happy news on the horizon, I promise you. Want you a part of everything that's going to be here on the hard count and on the channel. A lot of fun with college football season here, y'all. We will see y'all next time.